There was once two brothers who were soldiers. One was rich and one was poor. The poor man thought to better himself and took off his red coat to become a gardener. He tilled his ground and planted turnips. When the seeds grew, there was one that was bigger than the rest and kept getting larger and larger. It seemed like it would never stop growing. At last it was so big and filled the cart, and two oxen had a hard time pulling it. The gardener didn't know what to do with it. One day he said to himself, "What should I do with it? If I sell it, it will bring no more than the other little turnips, and they are better for eating. I think the best thing would be to take it to the king as a mark of respect." He hitched up his oxen and took it to the king. "What a wonderful thing," said the king. "I have seen many strange things, but such a monster as this I never saw. Where did you get the seed? Or is it only your good luck? If so, you are truly a child of fortune." "Ah, no," answered the gardener. "I am no child of fortune, but a poor soldier. I could never get even enough to live upon. So I laid my red coat aside and set to work tilling my ground. I have a brother who is rich, and your majesty knows him well, and all the world knows him. But because I am poor, everybody forgets me." The king felt sorry for him and said, "You shall no longer be poor. I will give you so much that you shall be even richer than your brother." Then he gave him gold, lands, and flocks, which made him richer than his brother. When the brother heard of this and how a turnip had made him so rich, he was jealous and thought about how he could get the same good fortune for himself. However, he thought he was a lot smarter than his brother, and he got a rich present of gold and fine horses for the king, and thought he would get a much larger gift in return because his brother received so much for just a turnip. What must his present be worth? The king was very thankful for the gift and said he knew nothing of more valuable than to give in return the great turnip. The soldier was forced to drag the turnip home, and when he got home, he didn't know who to vent to, and soon enough, evil thoughts came into his head, and he resolved to kill his brother. He hired some villains to murder him and showed them where to ambush. He then went to his brother and said, "Dear brother, I have found a hidden treasure. Let us go dig it up and split it between us." The other did not suspect anything. They went out together, and they were traveling, and the murderers rushed them, bound him, and hung him on the tree while the other soldier ran off in the opposite direction. While they were getting ready to complete the murder, they heard a horse, which scared them, and they shoved their prisoner headfirst into a sack and swung him up by a cord to the tree, where they left him dangling and ran away. Meanwhile, he worked at the sack till the hole was big enough to stick his head out. When the horseman rode up, he proved to be a student, a merry fellow, riding along on his nag, singing as he went. As soon as he passed the tree, the gardener called out, good morning to you, my friend." The student looked around and saw no one and cried out, "Who calls me?" "Look up, I am above you, sitting in the sack of wisdom. Here I have, in a short time, learned great and wondrous things. Compared to this seat, all the learning of the schools is as empty as air. A little longer, and I shall know all that man can know, and come forth wiser than the wisest of mankind. Here I discern the sights and the motions of the heavens and stars, the laws that control the wind, the numbers of the sands on the seashore, the healing of the sick, the virtues of all simples, of birds, and of precious stones. If you were here, my friend, you would feel the power of knowledge." The student listened to all this and wondered and said, "Blessed be the day and the hour I have found you. Can you let me into the sack for a little while?" Then the other answered, Give me a little more time, and I will allow you to sit here. Wait an hour below so that I can learn some matters that are still unknown to me." The student sat and waited for a while, but grew impatient and begged to be let in the sack. The other pretended to give in and said, "You must lower the sack by untying the cord, and then you may enter." So the student let him down, opened the sack, and set him free. The student then started climbing into the sack, feet first. "Wait, that is not how you do it." And he shoved the student into the sack head first, tied it closed, and swung the cord and pulled the sack up. He left the student dangling and rode off on the nag, planning his revenge on his brother. When he arrived at his brother's home, he peeked into the window, and to his surprise, his brother was cornered by the villains who came to collect their payment for the murder. Sneaking in the back door, he grabbed a pot of boiling water from the fire and snuck into the room. Before the villains knew what was happening, he threw the hot water on him. Screaming, the villains ran from the house. "Thank you, dear brother. You saved my life. How can I ever repay you?" Slowly, wandering over to the fireplace, he stood staring into the fire. The grateful brother walked up behind, about to place his hand on his shoulder, when suddenly the gardener turned, hot fire poker in hand, and stabbed him in the eyes, blinding him. Satisfied, he turned to leave his brother screaming in pain. Just as he came to the door, he turned and said, "Now you will live your life in pain, unable to see, unable to care for yourself, or work to make money to live. Take care, dear brother, and enjoy the life you deserve, begging on the streets."